Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes Bull. 3-4 might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal! Following you in all its magnificence.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you listen to this. If you're listening live or listening on your way to work or just for the pleasure of it, welcome to the Wolves Fancast review show. Leicester 0, Wolves 3. Welcome Vitor Pereira. He has sailed into Molineux on his Portuguese man of war to wage war against the relegation-threatened Wolverhampton Wanderers and to keep us in this Premier League. Joining me tonight to talk about it is hopefully Gav, if he can get his PC situation sorted. And I've got Stu with me. How are you doing, Stu? How are you feeling after yesterday? Because I know your voice is a little bit hoarse.
Yeah, for people who want the Sean Dyche days back, it's reminiscent of that. It's better than it was this morning, but it's all for a good cause. Let's put it that way. And while we're waiting for Gav, let's address things. Me and Daniel did have a few beverages yesterday, independent of each other. So when we were singing the new hit song, the what should be Christmas #1, about Jeff Shee at halftime, yes, we were pissed. So if anyone who watched that video on Twitter, we were both smashed, independent of each other. But yeah, it was never in doubt, was it? Really? You saw that lineup. I mean, like Vitor Pereira, we are going back to bare bones today because we don't have graphics. Well, we're raw dogging podcasting because it's Christmas, so why not? Yeah. It's a time of miracles, and we certainly got one yesterday. But really, did we? Because the only miracle we had was Danny Ward being available to play. But there we are. And now Gav is alive and he's here. Welcome,
welcome, Gav. How are you doing after yesterday? You feeling good?
Oh, absolutely buzzing. It makes such a big difference, doesn't it? Having a win for once. I think your life just, you know what it is, your life just ends up being better. Everything goes your way when you win. You know, you go to work and you go through all the green lights instead of all the red lights. We shouldn't be going through red lights anyway. But yeah.
I think Alanis Morissette wrote a song about it, but I'm not sure. But yeah, no, Vitor Pereira's first game, we weren't expecting much of a shake-up. Well, we weren't overly sure what he'd do, but in terms of tactics, we weren't expecting nothing massively different. Looking at the starting 11 when you saw it, Stu, how did you feel about it? Did you feel like, okay, this is a back to basics, players are going to sort of play where they're, supposed to play, bar maybe Semedo or Doherty, and it's going to be just let's try going into the game, try and set up shop and build from a strong defense?
I mean, the kind of thought of the last few days was common sense is the best sense when talking about his discipline from set pieces as well. And then you look at that, and I think, was it you who put in there, is it 4-2-3-1? And I said this could be 4-2-3-1, it could be 4-5-1, it could be 3-4-3, and it kind of turned out to be more the latter than anything else. But more interesting enough that now the moron is gone, we actually get people in their proper positions again. And then you got the whole Doherty Semedo conundrum the right way around. That all of us would have picked that way around anyway. Yeah. And not play Semedo, who can't defend headers, and restrict him to his runs, which are essential to us, the way we play, especially with wing-backs. And so you play with a back three of Doherty, Bueno, and Totti, and you think that is not great on paper. But then, apparently, I wasn't there. I was there mere minutes before kickoff, because I tried for 25 minutes to get another beer before the game. But no, the people did not understand me. They didn't know what Guinness was, even though Guinness was on the board. Who knew? But everyone was having a while of a time. So by the time I got up there, I didn't see any of the pre-match warm-up or anything like that. But apparently he was drilling them. You had his staff getting involved in set piece defending pre-game, which I've never seen in a warm-up before. So it was kind of set the stall out from then, and when that kind of thing filtered through, and there was the whole where's Lamina? But in the end, it was the right choice, and every single pick there made perfect sense, which was so refreshing.
I think so, and I think sort of bringing it on to the lineup and people coming out from the cold a little bit there, Gav. We've got Rodrigo Gomez, who'd only started one game all season. Same with Gonçalo Guedes. Two players that fans have really wanted to see a little bit more of because Rodrigo, he didn't really do a lot wrong in the first game. It was a difficult game against Arsenal. Yeah. And Guedes is having this sort of rebirth in a Wolves shirt. He's actually been involved in goals and played with a bit of smile on his face. Do you think seeing these back in the side is indicative of moving away from O'Neill's tenure on day one?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Gary O'Neill was definitely watching that game. So for him to see Guedes and Gomez both score, he must have been hating that so much. But like you said, they came in and they were effective straight away. And especially with Gomez, I felt like, we know he's raw. Everyone can see he's raw, can't they? There's, he doesn't do everything right, but he gives it a good go, doesn't he? And you can see there is quality there. Obviously, he's come from Portugal. He's still young. He wasn't going to be, hit the ground running straight away, but he needs an opportunity. And with Gary O'Neill, he had such a good pre-season, and then for him to just get binned off after one game, it didn't make sense, did it? I think we was all asking the question, like, where's he gone? We played him in pre-season every single game, played him against Arsenal, and I don't think he was out of place against Arsenal as a whole, realistically, because the whole team struggled that day, not just him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to see him. And Guedes, Guedes made a big difference, didn't he? I think I was saying before the game, that right wing position, it's been chopped and changed under Gary O'Neill. I mean, he put Gomez there, Bellegarde there, Hwang there, Sarabia there. I think Guedes, after that performance, I think he has nailed that down now, definitely.
I remember he must not be named, who has put in there a great comment Vitor made. He who must not be named look a right fucking knob, which is true. Yeah. Apparently, Rodrigo Gomez was bought as a backup and was not ready.
Yeah.
Lukey has joined us.
Have I missed anything?
Was he ready?
Not really, mate. We're just sort of talking about the lineup and talking about how Vitor set up in comparison to sort of Gary O'Neill and sort of players coming out of the cold like Rodrigo Gomez and Gonçalo Guedes. How do you feel about seeing these players start? They're sort of coming from the cold, aren't they?
Yeah, it's quite funny, to be fair, because like thinking of it during the game, it was, it might sound really horrible, especially to people like Gully who scored the goal now. But seeing players who have just been given the cold shoulder by O'Neill come in, get goals, get assists, it's sort of like, it's quite poetic, isn't it? Because I was thinking of it as the game was playing, and I said to myself, I was like, Luke, you're an actual dickhead, because Ryan Aït-Nouri is the first choice left wing back anyway, so he's always going to start sort of 9 times out of 10. Everyone knows about Guedes' work, right, and his desire, does he even want to be at the club? But you know what? Fair play to him, man, because he had a really good game yesterday. They both did. It was good. It was good to actually be able to see Rodrigo Gomez have a decent run out, to be fair, because apart from Arsenal first game of the season, not really been able to have a good look at him. So it's good to see that we've got some options. I mean, Stu mentioned on Twitter earlier about Gomez being signed as a backup for the future, not being ready for the first team, as O'Neill was mentioned, which, it just shows he was, I don't know what was going through his mind.
Yeah. And I think we've mentioned that man a lot already, like Gonçalo Guedes, opening the scoring with what was quite a deft finish, Stu. I mean, it was a ball over the top, Vestergaard and Cody getting under each other's feet, allowed Gonçalo to come in and sort of sweep it into that far corner. It's a good finish, but yeah, it's Danny Ward, so.
Yeah. I mentioned at the top how fucking shit Danny Ward is. And bear in mind, I don't know if he came across on telly or radio, as everyone legally listened to, the Leicester fans were on his back from the first time he dropped one. And they were ironically cheering every time he caught the ball.
Yeah.
And there was a time when we kind of turned it around and started singing Danny Ward's name in appreciation for what he was doing for us. But you've got to have the shots, haven't you? And we've kind of, we've had like at Fulham where we had four goals from 5 shots effectively. We had chances and we took them. And you look at it and you think, well, we've had players in that position before. I mean, Forbes, we don't need to talk about because whatever. But when came on, we'll get to him later. But you know, who else would you want that ball to fall to? If it's not Strand Larsen and it's not Cunha, then your third best option there is Guedes. And my history with that bloke is done and dusted, fine, whatever. He proved it in pre-season. He's here. He put himself about and he ran probably more yesterday than he did in his whole 2.5 years that he's been here. And fair play to the guy. I mean, he did smile. Apparently, in the pictures, unless it was kind of fake news or kind of Photoshop or whatever. But he took one for the team as well. He got a proper clattering. And you think, well, you've literally put your body on the line there. And it's a decent finish. So fair play.
Yeah. And it was nice that it was getting the better of Cody as well to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
Which I know, listen, Cody, he's class. Yeah, like as a person, as a human, absolutely amazing. But I'm just petty like that. I love to see ex-players struggle.
To be fair, we didn't. I said this in the game. We didn't really put it on him as much as we should have. I think Strand Larsen should have stuck it on him for a lot more than he did, really. Because you know what Cody's like against a physical striker, he struggles. And I think Strand Larsen could have got the. But I think that's something that we did miss in the game, even though we won 3-0. That's probably the one thing that we could have took advantage of. Oh yeah,
100%. And I think we talk about Strand Larsen actually on a bit of a tangent. Yesterday was a bit of a difficult game for him. He as the, I don't know whether any have heard it from the stats, but he's the person who's held the ball up the most of any striker in the Premier League this season. Yeah. And it was a difficult, and it's for him now to see how he's going to adapt to this new system, Luke, and Vitor-Pereira coming in. Is it going to be sort of a learning process for all of these players now, and they're all going to have to try and adapt to a new system, and sort of him try and find what is his best solution? And someone like Jurgen Strand Larsen might struggle for a month or two just to sort of bed his feet back in.
I think under Pereira, I think Strand Larsen will only get better because he's got to have people running off him now. Instead of, who was it? Stu who mentioned it in the group, Stranded Larsen. No, it was Ed, wasn't it? Was it Ed?
Yeah.
Stranded Larsen, like it was just summed it up perfectly. Because if and when the ball did get to him under O'Neill's sort of tutorship, there was so little for him to play off. But now he's going to have willing runners. He's got the 2 cams. Obviously, it was Cunha and Guedes yesterday, who we'll be able to link up with. But what I liked the most yesterday about the shape and the formation and what will help Strand Larsen is how high and aggressive the wing-backs were. So you had Gomez on the left, Semedo on the right. So really, we're attacking with a 5. Quite aggressive, really quite aggressive. So that's why I think Strand Larsen will come into his own and he'll have more runners off him. I mean, even if the goals were to dry up, because his goal return's been decent, I can see him chipping up with a couple of assists or pre-assists. I think his link-up could be quite crucial to us.
He did a couple of great ones where I ain't seen his heat map or anything, but it felt like he was dropping a lot deeper yesterday than he has so far this season. And there was the one where he was sparking, he was having that kind of tete-a-tete with Vardy on the halfway line. After Bueno had floored him, which was great to see. But he's such a team player anyway. It's weird to say that he goes underrated because obviously his goals speak for themselves, but his work off the ball, we've talked about on here before, it's superb. And you just don't notice that kind of thing. Yeah.
He's certainly been one of them. He's something that we've really missed is having that sort of like number 9 who's going to be bustling and being involved in every stage of the game, every stage of build up. So having somebody back like that involved in the squad is only, going to help us. Yeah. Talking about what Leicester have been doing, obviously Ruud van Nistelrooy's had his sort of honeymoon period is gone. They struggled in the previous game with an asymmetrical defending shape and balls across and switches. We saw that really with the second goal, didn't we, Gav? Because Doherty picks up the ball, pings it across, and he's tucked in quite far. The right back was tucked in quite close, and it is a mistake. He's left the ball, but Rodrigo Gomez, gambling on something, getting in there, getting that touch, and key second goal to really put a confidence in the Wolves side.
Yeah, definitely. I think from our point of view, from what we did well there was Rodrigo Gomez making that run initially. Doherty, he's only going to make that ball. He's only going to make that pass if Rodrigo Gomez makes that run. And that's something that we haven't had really, to be fair, that our fullback's really getting into that position. I mean, like Nori, he does tend to get high up with the ball, but that's when he's on the ball. Off the ball, he doesn't really make those sort of runs really to the back post or anything. So, for Rodrigo Gomez to make that run to Doc, even though we got a bit of luck in the end, it worked out well, but it was a good move ultimately. And, I don't think Danny Ward helped, did he? Let's be fair. I don't think Rodrigo Gomez will get an easier goal than that, really. But no, it was a good goal to get at that time as well, wasn't it? Leicester was... Yeah. They weren't on top of us, but it looked like they were pressing for a goal, and it looked like at one point it might come. I mean, there was a ball across the box where it fell to Vardy. I think that was when we were 1-0 up. So to have that 2-goal gushing before half time at that point was massive. Yeah,
100%. And the third goal was sort of much of the same, looking for a long ball, chipping the channels. Guedes, once again, fantastic work rate, Luke. He cuts it back, passes it back to Cunha, and it's not a bad finish. Danny Ward, obviously, to talk about the goalkeeper again, probably should do better with it. But it's fantastic work from Guedes and Cunha being in the right position. And these link-ups are starting to almost take shape already.
Yeah, I mean, the partnership looked great. The link-up play looked really good. Guedes was running off the ball, running in behind, running into channels. I mean, does it take a bit of gloss off the result that Leicester had Danny Ward in goal? Maybe a little bit, because, like Gav mentioned, he should have done better with. Well, Rodrigo Gomez ain't going to get an easy goal all season. He probably should have got a stronger hand to Cunha's goal as well. But I mean, going back to the second goal, I think James Justin's got a lot to answer for that. I don't know what he's playing at. I really don't know what he's playing at, but not complaining. But yeah, again, Cunha, when you've got players like that, it's a little bit of magic, isn't it? Because it's not an easy finish, regardless of who the goalkeeper is. It's a tight angle. Was it Samare who he had on his back as he was entering into the box? It's still a nice, tidy finish into the side netting, and it just completely killed the game off. Even with it being Wolves and how Wolves do things, and with the history of this fixture, or Leicester v Wolves and Wolves v Leicester as well, the second half never felt in any doubt that we was going to let that slip. I just feel with Pereira now, he's on it. Like his game management's good. He's got the shape, the structure of the team will always be quite solid. I'll probably end up looking like a fool in 6 to 12 months, but if we concede more than 2 goals in more than 5 of our next 20, 25 games, I'll be quite surprised.
In every game, not just all together.
Yeah. No, that would be Jose Mourinho. Yes, that would be breaking all the records.
I was going to say his defensive record's good. It's not that good, but no, I mean, but we know we've got the quality going forwards to score goals. I'm not going to mention his name because I've been told off in the comments. But we under the previous clown, we were still getting goals, even though we was average at best, but we're still scoring a hell of a lot of goals. I bet we're probably like 5th or 6th leading goal scorers in the league, aren't we? So if we've got a guy in now who can manage a defence and get a defence organised, with the players we've got moving forward, where we're always going to be good for goals. Just send passports off, lads. Just win back.
I mean, to be fair, at 3-0, I mean, as much as we were in control, part of me we still had that little bit of doubt that, you know, if we cock up at the start of the second half, I could see us messing it up completely. So to manage the game as well as we did, honestly, look, I don't think did they even have a shot in the second half? I can't even remember Leicester doing anything.
We just killed it.
Half.
We just killed it. We just went so compact, quite narrow as well, just really hard to break down.
I mean,
it was brilliant. It was.
We were doing Olays in like the fucking 65th minute. You know, if that ain't game management at its peak, then I don't know what is.
It was very similar to the what Spurs did at Southampton a few weeks ago, where they got 5 in the first half, and then second half it was just that's it now, job
see
done. See it out, manage your time, and I think that was more impressive than anything else. Like Gav said about the Olays, we didn't even get out of second gear.
No.
And even in the first half, the goals were a bit fortunate. But like I said, you've got to be there for that fortune to hit you, and we've kind of been crying out for that. And James Justin got abuse from their fans as well. He was booed every time he touched the ball after that mistake. That place was ready to go off. Yeah. And at half time, I went downstairs to the refreshment area, and they kind of open it up now. So you got like these bollards for the smokers and whatever. So everyone was outside the actual stadium itself, and you could see just thousands of Leicester fans just leaving half time, just walking down the street. And you think, well, how can it possibly be this bad already? They've got no faith in that team. They don't like that team. And you think
the team, no, sorry, Stu, but looking at the team and Danny Ward, and with all the respect in the world for what he's done for us, Connor Cody, Vardy at his age. I mean, I put in the group, they're bringing on Wout Face and Harry Winks now. They're bad. They're really, really bad. Like, man for man, they're such a poor squad. Even Oliver Skip, never really rated him at Tottenham. I don't know. He's just such a bland. If a football player could be beige, he would be Oliver Skip. I think they've got that one lad. Is it Mavavidi or something like that?
Mavavidi.
He's decent. And I either got another lad who's injured. Got injured a couple of weeks ago. Another winger.
Yeah.
I remember that. But apart from that, I mean, they're just so bad. And if we can't take a lot of confidence from that with the squad that we've got, because this squad it's a mid-table squad, and I know people will disagree. Russell Baker, I'm looking at you. It is a mid-table squad. It was just managed by. That's the one. Yes, thank you, Matt Bradley. That's the one. He's good. But that's got to give us confidence that, because I mean, Southampton, they're gone. If Leicester, that squad, absolutely honking. We'll pull clear of them. I've got no doubt about it. We'll pull clear of them, even with the fixtures we've got coming up. So even if we're not ahead of Leicester by February, once the fixtures sort of change in our favour on paper, so to speak, we'll finish at least 8 points ahead of them.
Yeah, but you kind of lament the situation that we're in because of, like you say, Luke, and you say it quite well, with our squads are just miles apart, and to see ourselves in the situation that we are with the team that we have and the investment that we have and the quality of players is pathetic, really.
Yeah,
and to say, okay, the situation that we find ourselves in, we can get out of it quite easily, and it's the one thing, and I want to really touch on it. The Achilles heel of Wolves this season has always been set pieces. And look at yesterday, and we've moved straight away from zonal marking. And straight away, it's a mix now. We've got the key players for the opponent's side are man-marked, and then you've got players in the zonal areas to attack the ball. It's just the way it should be, and it's done at all levels, and down to even semi-pro and below.
Yeah,
it's even done.
I think just keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Go back to, especially the position that we find ourselves in. Just go back to basics. I mean, we were talking about it 10 minutes ago about just hitting the channels, running in behind. Just keep it nice and basic. Make the first contact, pick up the danger men,
But that's what you said last week, wasn't it, Luke? About first contact. It's a small thing, but it's a massive thing at the same time. Isn't it? You know what I mean?
Like it's so basic, and sometimes people can just overcomplicate football too much.
Yeah.
And I get, we all want to look like, or we all want to appear to have these great footballing minds, but sometimes just keep it simple, keep it basic, and just make the game as easy as possible. That's as simple, and just simplify it. Sometimes you can just overcomplicate the game, and then you find yourself conceding 16 set-piece goals before Santa's even been.
Yeah. Well, go on, Stu.
I was going to say there's a hell of a lot more respect being excellent at simple football than shit at trying to be a tax Leicester.
Yeah.
And that's proved within a week. And you look at where we are, and if they had any bollocks or common sense, they'd have got rid of him after Brentford. And we could be sitting on what's between 7-10 points now, better off with this guy in. I mean, I would, if we'd gone there with him in charge, we would have lost that game. We would, because we were awful. And in the we were told that these players are awful. These players, I've done everything possible with this squad, and not just him, everyone, his supporters as well. And that these players can't head balls away. Well, they did a fucking good job yesterday. And it wasn't just the big lads either. Everyone was getting involved.
Yeah.
Even Rodrigo Gomez, he's almost like little Dan height. He was winning headers. It's all about determination and discipline, and we had it in spades.
Yep. I think the biggest frustration is...
Sorry, Jeff.
Go on, Stu.
Talking of discipline, no yellow cards yesterday either, which makes a big difference.
Huge. I think the biggest frustration is I was obviously a big fan of Arneil for a very, very long time. And one of the things that changed my mind is when I was talking to people who'd been told stuff from within the club, was that he was overcomplicating things and he was changing tactics on a week-to-week basis, and it confused the players. The thing is, these players are professional footballers, and I'll say it about it again, and we've already spoken about it, but we have to just keep reiterating the point. The simplicity works. And these players, they've been playing professional football. Some of them have been playing for 20 years, Craig Dawson and the like. So what do you play? You play to your strengths when you're in a relegation battle. You don't want to overcomplicate things. You don't need to be looking at an iPad to look at tactics, to look at positions, to look at this all the time. You know where players' strengths are. You put them into the right area. And looking at the squad yesterday, you've got with the possibility of one player who's playing out of position. That's Matt Doherty. He's not a centre-back by nature. No. But you've got 10 players all playing in sort of their strongest position is something that you build on. And we've said it on here. It's not just me. Stu said it. Luke said it. You've said it, Gav. I mean, everyone who's been on here is played players in the right position into their right strengths. And that's going to be the key now moving forward, isn't it, Stu? That we have these players and we don't try and overcomplicate it. We don't try and put a leash on Mateus Cunha and say, okay, you've got to come running 30, 40 yards back and try and stifle everything, because it's not going to be the way to get out of this danger, is it?
No. And there's an excellent comment here from Brett saying, if Gary O'Neill had left the system alone over the summer, we couldn't have held with him mid-table. And that's completely true. And I said that weeks ago as well, didn't know about the set-piece thing, that a pre-season under him and his madness has led us to being the worst team in the country at set-pieces. And the whole overcomplicated thing was obvious for weeks when they just didn't know what they were doing. And it wasn't a kind of down in tools. They were just... my RoboCop thing was spot on. I said this about RoboCop 2. People took the piss out of me, and I was right again. That they were so frazzled, they didn't know what to do, and we had to have a reset, and this is our reset. And you look at it, and you think, well, the two managers sacked last week both wanked off into their iPads in public. Both of them sacked. And now you go back to basics. We didn't see any technology in place. He was on the touchline talking to the players. It's a manager. You don't have to do all this stuff. It was so refreshing to see. And I think there was a nice point on the Totally Football show as well, that it made a nice change having Portuguese-speaking players on the pitch again. And they'd all been ostracised and all been told that they weren't good enough, and all this language stuff came out. But then you've got Jose Sarr back in, who we haven't even talked about yet, who he had his Jose Sarr moment of madness, but got away with it when he was playing sweeper keeper. But then one of the few times they actually got round us. And even that he did properly, and he did well. because he just booted it away and didn't try to overplay things. That's all you need. And there was a nice part as well where he did kick the ball out for a throw-in and no one got on his back. I thought, yes, this is the way it is. He just lost possession. Who cares?
His distribution was actually pretty good in the game because he was quick to release. Usually, the one criticism I have with Saar is that when there is an opportunity to break, he misses it. He holds the ball for too long. But against Leicester, he was throwing it out. He was getting those counter-attacks going, especially in the second half. You know, we could have went for a fourth. I mean, you'll probably go on to it in a bit. The 2 chances that we had towards the end of the game. I know we had all the control in the world, but we could have really easily have made that 5-0 if we wanted to.
Yeah.
5 or 6. But yeah, just going back to the set pieces thing. You know, Pereira's already come in and said we're working on it every day. That's something that we're working on every day. And for Gary O'Neill to say last week, well, I told Totti or whatever to be in these positions, and they've gone somewhere else. At the time, I thought, okay, the players ain't listening to him. But now I'm thinking, it's not like they're not listening to him. They didn't understand him in the first place. They didn't understand what they were being told to do. You know what I mean? Yep. And I think that shows that showed on the weekend.
Maybe he's too much of a genius for this world. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that about Glenn Hoddle, but I wasn't right, was I?
Yeah. I mean, but I think I was going to say one thing about what Gav said about Saar and the quick release thing. You look at the season where he won Player of the Year. That's what he did.
Yeah.
That's all he did. And then he started getting coached by idiots, and that part of his game disappeared. And he's almost like, well, okay, we'll go back to basics. We'll go back to the Portuguese way of playing. He played like that under Lage. Look what happens.
Because his throwing's actually good. His throwing's never been a problem.
Well, like the quick release. Remember the Raul at Southampton away?
Yeah,
that was from Saar, and a quick breakaway.
Yeah.
So he's always had it in his game. But you look at things. These players have been stymied by nonsense for over 9 months, and now they're free. And you look how much happy they are.
Yeah, 100%. And I think talking about Jose Saar, he's now in a position he's got to really mess up to lose that shirt now, Luke. And how would you feel being Sam Johnston? Because obviously he was bought in, he wasn't really needed because Jose Saar hadn't left the club. He's not probably going to be involved now unless Jose Saar really, really drops a clanger, and you just can't see it happening, can you?
No, it's not an ideal situation. But it's the situation that we find ourselves in. So as far as Sam Johnson is concerned, he's just got to suck it up until the summer, and then he'll inevitably leave. But again, it just goes back to sort of the previous regime, and I'm not going to put all this on the old manager because obviously the board and the recruitment team need to take some responsibility for what happened with Saar going to Saudi and then it not happening and then Johnston coming in and whatnot. But, you know, it is what it is. He's picking up a nice, healthy wage to sit on the bench. You know, there's worse careers out there. He's just got to suck it up. And I know it's frustrating. I know football's a short career. He wants to be number one. So suck it up and you'll get your move in the summer.
Yeah. The thing is, you can't say that he never had a chance. If he came in and Saar was in goal every single game, you'd be like, okay, you know what? It's a shame, you know, that Saar made a few mistakes and he hasn't had a chance. He started a decent amount of games where they've been chopping and changing, and he's had a chance to prove himself and stake the claim, and he hasn't took it. So, you know, that's the ruthless nature of the business, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
Can we just add, just to make Luke Stakes? I'm guessing he's not seeing the comments here. Valencia. Carlos Corberán is going to Valencia.
Wow.
Yeah, to be fair, mate, I couldn't give a fuck about the Albion. No, but that'll wound him. That'll wound him. Nice early Christmas present for him, that ain't it? Hey, they could get O'Neill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've O'Neill. Just
that'd be nice.
They could poach Tony Mowbray back if they want. But the players who sort of struggled under O'Neill, Stu, Totti Gomez is one who's not had a great season, and he looked fairly assured yesterday, apart from one little moment of madness. I mean, we haven't really talked about that chances that Leicester did have. Do you think that was just okay? It kind of just happened in the moment, or do you think he's one of these players who we need to be looking at improving on going forward?
Yeah, Totti's. It's been the story of Totti's whole time here, hasn't it? Really, but he's got a Tottiism in him. At least one a game, but if you get away with it, he's a brilliant defender for the rest of the time in a back three. In a four, not so much, as Isham put us right at the start of the season. On here about, but yeah, he's the first one. You look at them and you think, who do you replace? And Totti, for all his good points, if he drops that and it's 0-0 and you lose 1-0, then it's his fault. So I know you could say that for any player on the pitch, but he's more susceptible to these kind of errors than anyone else. If that can be cut out of his game, then we've got a brilliant top defender on our hands. But how old is he now? 24, 25, something like that. You'd think he'd kind of grow out of it, but unfortunately he hasn't. And yesterday we got away with it. But you look at it, and if we are going to bring a new defender in, which they say they're going to do I believe them? No, of course not. But if we do, then that's the one place I'd replace first.
Yeah, 100%. And the two players we haven't really spoken about at all, Gav, was that double pivot of João Gomez and Andre. And once again, we're talking about simplicity earlier, is they did everything right in the simple way. You know, they broke the play up, they started the attacks, they moved the ball simple. I don't want to bash O'Neill because obviously he's trying to do the best, but to see two players go in there, do the job that they're supposed to do, play in the way that they know how to play. I'm sorry, even a 5-year-old could have come up with that, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
it's true. At the end of the day, you know, especially Andre. I've been quite critical of Andre since he's come in, but over the past couple of games, especially against Ipswich. You know, for a ball winner against Ipswich, he was nowhere to be seen, wasn't he? Against Ipswich, that's why he got hooked at half time ultimately. But against Leicester, you could tell he had a manager that could speak the same language as him, as daft as it is, and it showed because he understood what he needed to do. And on the ball, he was on the ball. It was the best I've seen him against Leicester because he was pinging it left, right, and centre like no man's. Okay, fair enough. Leicester gave, you know, some of the wide players like Semedo, you know, the space to receive the ball, but he was pinging them around like for the first time I've really seen him since he's been here. To be fair, and Gomez was doing what he normally does, you know, in and around, winning the ball back. But you know, I think not having Lamina for whatever reason was a blessing in disguise ultimately.
Yeah. And I think you look at that as well with Andre. He came in and he won player of the month straight away.
Yeah.
And as soon as he got brainwashed by the moron, his stats dipped and he was out the side.
Yeah.
And then
he was absolutely mustard on his debut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. He had jet lag as well. Let's not forget for that game. He'd only just flew in probably 1 or 2 days before.
That was a Newcastle game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was class.
Yeah, and to see sort of these players who've come in from the outskirts and do well, Luke, I mean, it only gives us confidence, really, because, you know, we've still got Craig Dawson, who came on as a sub yesterday. He can be involved. Mario Lamina is going to be part of that squad. Tommy Doyle, again, people are calling for him to play games. And Ryan O'Norrie, you rightly said, who's normally a left wing back, and he'd be playing that get position every time. It fills the fans with confidence that the players who've come in and stepped up and put in that level of performance, you know, as being a second string player, as like a Rodrigo Gomez, it fills you with confidence, doesn't it? That we're going to get out of this situation.
Definitely. I mean, I said it about 6-8 weeks ago. The squad, the depth of the squad is possibly the strongest squad depth we've had since we've been back in the Premier League.
I'd agree.
Nuno worked wonders, but let's not get memory fog here. Some of the benches he had to work with were criminal, absolute criminal. You know, there'd literally be 2, maybe 3 senior subs on the bench. The rest was just made up of kids and competition winners. Like, he really struggled. So the strength in depth, it's getting there. And I honestly believe 2 or 3 more signings just to add to that strength and depth, just to account for injuries and suspensions, which are going to come thick and fast over the Christmas period, and I'm looking forward to next season already. I'm really, really, really confident with the players that we've got. We're going to utilise them correctly. We've got a manager and a coaching team now that they're not here to mess about, drinking cup of tea after cup of tea after cup of tea. They want to improve footballers. They want to improve football teams. They want to improve units. So they'll want to improve the defense. They'll want to improve the midfield. They'll want to improve the attack. They'll want to put all that together. And then if evil Dr. Jeff can sort out a couple of half decent signings in the summer to back Pereira, with the way the Premier League is now. Oh, this is crazy, but there's no reason we can't be knocking on the door for Europe next season.
You said it. You've said it now. You've said it now. Clipped. It's going to get clipped. It's going to
get into one game. He's done me.
It's that bad. You've just got one little bit, 90 minutes of positivity.
You know what? I'm probably just a bit delirious because how many games have we won since last February? About 2.
Yeah.
So
probably.
So when we win, I'm just a little bit delirious. But nah, come on, dust off the passports, man. It's coming. But no, when you look at the Prem now, though, who's up there at the minute? You got Forest, Bournemouth, Brighton. They're all up there. I'm even going to add Villa into it. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. Obviously, they're good football teams because they wouldn't be where they are without having something about them. But you can't tell me that when we play Forest, if we used to play Forest 5 times, they would beat us 5 times. Wouldn't happen. There's not much in between, not just the teams, not just the squads, but the clubs as a whole. Yeah. And then obviously you've got Tottenham. Never have to worry about Tottenham. So average. It's unbelievable. I think Man City, their Qatar money's run out. So they're not getting the decisions that they was getting. So, there's another opportunity. And Man United are done. They're absolutely finished.
Just washed, yeah. I mean, the eggnog's quite strong. Thanks for the comment.
My head's gone, man. I'm telling you, I'm flying into Europe.
There's another layer to what we just spoke about, though, Gav. Obviously, we've got players who are on the bench who are sort of out of form, likes of Jon Ritner Bellegarde. You've got Hwang Hee-chan, who's not doing great since the Asia Cup, where he was run into the ground by a silly German, Jurgen Klinsmann.
Yeah.
It's good for them, when we're in a position where it's 3-0, they can come on. There's zero pressure on them to change the game. All they've got to do is get their minutes, get their confidence back up. It's good, isn't it? It's nice and healthy to be in that position.
Well, to be fair, that was what I noticed. I mean, did Gary O'Neill ever make 5 subs in a game? That was the first. Like, I noticed it straight away on Sunday. I was like, he's made 5 subs here. That's the first time I've ever seen us make 5 subs. I know we were winning the game, so it's easy to make those subs. But even so, I think if Gary O'Neill was in charge, he'd probably make only the 3. But now it's not on about the minutes; it's about the morale. If Hwang's come on for 10 minutes, he might not be as pissed off as he would be if he didn't play at all. You know what I mean? As daft as it is. So it is keeping people happy at the same time. So hopefully that's something that we see going forward, is that he actually utilizes, takes advantage of the 5 subs that he has.
Yeah. Hwang did have a nice little bit of interchange in the centre circle as well, and he started another move forward in the second when he came on. And you think it automatically looked like he had confidence again.
Well, he tried to do that dummy, didn't he, to Strand Larson in the box?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he was confident enough to try that. If you're that of form or scared, he'd be like trying to take a touch or take too many touches. But he tried to do something because we were in a position where we could do that. So he had a bit of freedom, didn't he? Really?
Yeah.
But no, I think he had a good cameo when he come on. No problem with Hwang when he came on whatsoever.
Yeah, and like I say, you mentioned it earlier, Gav. We had more chances in that second half to get more goals. Joe Gomez, if he was any kind of striker, Luke, he'd have buried that header, wouldn't he, when that ball came across from Mateus Cunha?
Yeah, he's got to score, to be fair. He really hasn't. I think Bueno should hit the target as well. I know he's got a lot of pressure on his back, but I still think from there he should be hitting the target. But again, it's just nice that we're creating chances, and like we've touched on about the second half, we did take our foot off the gas, but even with our foot off the gas, we were still creating chances, and we were still looking solid at the back. So yeah, it was good to see.
And building on from your positivity, because I'm quite enjoying it, because it's making me feel good about everything. We had a comment on Twitter: Wolves have a good cut run. Are we saying it? Are we saying FA Cup final this year? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, I've got PTSD from last year, so
I know.
Come on, Luke. Are we doing it?
I don't know, mate. Us and Cups, like I was literally just about getting over the Watford semi-final, and then Hadji, fucking, oh my god, absolutely. I think that hurt. No, it didn't hurt as much as Watford, but with the luck we've had in the Cups recently, do you know what now? Now we've got Pereira. We're winning the lot.
That's all I wanted to hear.
The only thing that's going to stop us in this FA Cup is Liverpool or Arsenal. Or VAR.
There's no VAR in third and fourth round this year either. No snooze change.
Let's get Liverpool in the
we'll
fourth round.
Batter Bristol City. We'll absolutely
not this bullshit at Anfield again.
Until we get to a final, I'm never believing it ever again.
No.
Until that monkey's off our back and we're actually there. I mean, you look at when we at 1960. We haven't been to a final, FA Cup final since 1960. Fuck's sake,
crazy.
Is it 5 semi-finals now, all lost? Until it actually happens, I'm not believing it ever again.
Yeah,
it is like a Benfica curse. It's awful, and it is what it is. Looking ahead, sort of Man United next on Boxing Day. There's a little bit more confidence again, especially in Luke's corner. Luke thinks we're going to beat Man United 7-0.
I actually do think we're going to beat them.
I'm probably with you as well. I think when they played against Bournemouth, because I watched the highlights this morning, and they looked bang on average. So there's got to be a lot of confidence going into this game, Stu, that we can build on it and we can get a second win. 100% Pereira keeps going on, and we can take these steps towards going above Leicester in the league.
I mean, the only problem we're going to have is that they're going to come here and get changed in the dry, which might kind of get their morale up after you look at some of the shamble scenes from Old Trafford, where even the press room is now leaking as well. Yeah. But we've been here before with Man United, haven't we? Was it last season or the season before, where they were yet again in disarray, and then they turned up and like the 4-3, and you think this shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen to us. We used to have the edge over them, but maybe it's the Portuguese edge, and we're back.
There's no harder place to go and get a result from in English football than a Molineux where the fans are pissed up, and it's a late kick-off.
And it's Boxing Day.
Exactly. So the atmosphere,
3 days of it.
I mean, you've got to give it to the Wolves fans.
Get on the fucking Tennessee.
You got to give it to the... See, everyone, just get on it now. It's Christmas. Get on the ale and just get behind the Wolves, because the atmosphere from the away fans was brilliant against Leicester. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. So if we can then take that into the Boxing Day game with a bit of liquor in your belly as well, the atmosphere... If everything's just set up, Pereira's first home game, we're coming off the back of a first clean sheet away from home since Everton away in, was it 2022 or something ridiculous? We've just scored three goals away from home. A win could potentially take us out the relegation zone. Like, it's a nice recipe.
Depends on the Cunha situation, isn't it? That's going to be the dampener and everything now, really.
Well, the FA's closed from 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Is actually?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll still find a way.
2 minutes to 1.
To be honest, I'm not so stressed now after the situation that we found ourselves in yesterday. I mean, we've got players to step in now, so there should be less fear going into it.
Yeah, you'd play Rodrigo Gomez there, wouldn't you? And then put Aït-Nouri straight back in where he was for the time being. But you look at it and you think, well, if everyone is on proper steaming after 3 days on the piss, you got 2 hours of "We don't care, I don't care about Jeff Shee" song over and over again. I mean that I couldn't believe how well that took off. It was like Nuno had a dream at Barnsley away, where it's a few blokes in the pub started singing it, and it kind of catches on, and it just got so infectious. And after 10 minutes of the game, until I was still humming it this morning when I woke up, and that's why I was a bit dicey at the start and a bit hoarse, and the Tennessee Fire sorted me out a little bit, but it's such a ridiculously bad song, but it's so excellent at the same time.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and
It's the meaning behind it, isn't it, as well?
And the fact that you could hear it on Wolves Express with Mikey Burrows and Tomo and Lee Naylor talking over it, and he said, "Oh, the fans are in good voice." We went, "Yeah, we know what we're singing as well."
Yeah. I think that's one thing that really pissed me off about Faust, and I've never really talked about it, was that when we went down to League One and we had that sign that, this what our club and knows no division sort of sign that they got rid of. Yes, this knows no division. When that was removed, I was so pissed because that sign meant everything to the club. And when we came together in League One and we came together as a unit under jacket, we took a lot of gamble on a lot of players who hadn't really cut it, or they'd stifled in their careers, and we fought our way back and we played good football doing it. That kind of was a first kick in the teeth for me from Folsom. And I'm not one for kicking them and battering on them, because they've done a lot of good for the club, but a lot of the stuff that's been undermines it is these silly little things where they don't understand the true mindset of football fans and the true mindset of being part of the club. Because at the end of the day, Wolves will outlive Folsom. Folsom will be gone and buried before this football club. And people who back Folsom and want to back him into the corner and to notch him off, whatever they want to do, all these people on social media, remember that the club existed before. They've had shit owners. They had the Barty brothers. They've had some shit with Steve Morgan, and now they've got Folsom. None of these people care about this football club like you do, and like everyone else does, and all these fans. This is your life. This is our life. So don't ever let them take it away from you, because without it, we're nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
You get that on a flag.
Yeah, it was worse what they actually replaced that slogan with. Whatever shit they came up with afterwards. You know what I mean? I don't even know what's up there now. It's something daft, isn't it?
Oh,
like,
it spells it old gold, doesn't it?
Our loving devotion, no.
Yeah.
What we had before was way better, and way more meaningful. And they've tried to make them.
They paid for them flags for that game at the end of that season as well.
Yeah.
That's the stupid thing about it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an awful situation to find ourselves in, to be, to want to be so positive about our club and to be proud of the players and be proud of the squad that we've got now, and to be at odds with the people who are supposed to run our club and have its best intentions at heart is so disheartening, because we all want to move together, because that's all we want. All we want is to stay in the Premier League and to move forward as a football club and have a football club that we can be proud of, because we are a one city, one club situation. And all we want is the best for Wolves, and it's utterly frustrating. I don't know whether I can say much more after that, to be honest.
No, it is frustrating, because all we want is for Wolves to do well and succeed, and we're not stupid enough to think, we must compete for the Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, frigging Birmingham Senior Cup every single season. No, we just expect to have a squad and a management team that are just honest, and they're just trying the best for this football team to bring as much joy to the fans and as possible. And when you can see that's not happening, and it's just so fractured at the moment, and the problem with Folsom and Jeff Shee is there's just been too many lies now, and the trust has been broken, and for that trust now to be repaired, it's got to take so much. It's going to take a hell of a lot. But thankfully, we can now build that relationship back with the team and the management, as in the coaches. So if we can get the coaches, management, and team bond back with the fans, we can do the rest without the board, to be fair. But until just it's not even so much a lot. It's just bullshit all the time, isn't it? Just be fucking honest with us, man.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking for. It is, and it drives you mad and it drives you wild, because we'd be so much better as a club.
What happens
if everybody was singing off the same hymn sheet with the same goals and with the same sort of moral compass as well. But because, in my opinion, could be completely wrong, Volson's moral compass isn't going in the same direction as the fans, and that trust with Jeff, as far as I'm concerned, I'll speak on behalf of myself, it's gone. I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth anymore. Like Jafar said, it's massively frustrating because, I know Wolves fans get a bad rep, but we're not that idiotic. Where we actually do want to work together as one for the benefit of the football club ultimately.
Yeah.
But there's a massive barrier in the way now.
Yeah. I think the thing is like with Fosun, there is the potential there to repair that bond, but the problem is they're not willing to take that step, are they? Realistically, in regards to making the club ambitious. Ultimately we find ourselves in the relegation zone, and as much as you blame Gary O'Neill, that sort of, it comes from the top, from what they were saying, in the summer about their goals and aspirations. If you want to aim for Europe all the time, this ain't the club for you. That's essentially saying, we just want to stay in the Prem, and that it filters down, doesn't it? It filters down, and that's why Gary O'Neill was making the excuse, and he was saying, look, we're a club in a position where we basically should be, based on the aspirations of the board, essentially. You know what I mean? So, it's up for them Fosun to change their mindset realistically. And I don't think it's question. You got to question: is it a Jeff Shee thing, or is it a Fosun thing? Is it Jeff Shee that's being a knob trying to fucking run it as efficiently as possible, and rejecting money that Fosun have got on the back of that, or is it Fosun actually forcing Jeff's hands to make these decisions as well? Nobody really knows that. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me. Until he goes and is replaced by someone else,
You'll never know. Yeah.
If still things stay the same, then everyone's going to assume it is on them. But you look at the quotes from Chairman Guo and about how Wolves don't want money from us and all this stuff in the Bloomberg thing, which was like 18 months ago now. But it's every time he speaks, the Wolves question gets asked, and it's always the same.
Yeah,
they don't want money from us when they're the 10th richest owners in the country.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
No, makes no sense at all. And we don't want them to just throw all the money in the world at us, so we then end up £350 million in debt or with an overspend like clubs like Man United and whatever. Got no issue with us being running that self-sustained model. Got no issue with that at all. But I don't know, Jeff's the middle guy, isn't he, between the club and Fosun?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Something just ain't right with him.
I think it's a bit frustrating when you see like a club like Blues at the minute with the projects that they've got going on with their stadium redevelopment, training ground redevelopment. It's just a shame that they've got so much ambition as a League One club, by the way, compared to us as a Premier League club. I mean, Bournemouth have got a brand new training ground facility. Leicester have as well.
Oxford as well.
Yeah.
Oxford,
and I'm not saying Compton's a bad place, but could it be better? I'd probably say it probably could be, to be fair.
Well, I think you look at a lot of the facilities now. The way the world's going, it's a lot more modern now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything's accelerated over the last 3 to 5 years. But we're just at risk of being left behind because, look at Leicester's training facility, and I know they're sort of levels above us. And I know I slagged them off earlier, but then your clubs like Tottenham and whatnot. But like you mentioned, Bournemouth have got a brand new facility. There'll be clubs in and around us that will be looking at improving their training and youth facilities soon. And if we don't make any investment in that side of the club either over the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to look so piss poor.
Yeah. Yeah, makes a difference in the long term, doesn't it? Ultimately,
look at Man United now. Perfect example, Manchester United. The training and youth facilities are very outdated. The stadium needs no introduction of what's going on with the stadium at the moment. And that's all because they've just neglected the investment into that side of the club, the facilities.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we was growing up, Old Trafford was the best stadium in the country by a mile. It's probably not even top 10 now, is it?
No.
It's
You know,
and
it's
to
too
come back
small.
what you said, Luke, though, there's a fear now, even at the level that we really care about fans, and that's developing our own players. There's a fear now that Wolves' academy might even go to Category 2 next season. We're talking as soon as next season.
Yeah,
because the money ain't going in there, is it?
How does that work? Does anybody, Luke? I'm guessing you might know. Could you work with like youth teams and everything? How does the whole Category 1, Category 2 situation actually? How do you get that in the first place? What's that based on?
So, in a nutshell, it comes down to funding that's available and the amount of staff that are within that academy function.
Got you.
So, Cat 1 Academy, the funding for that, you're probably looking around £10 million a year. Cat 2, then you're probably looking around 3.5 to 5 mil a year. Cat 3, you're looking around £1 million a year. So that's all it is basically. So for us to go to Cat 2, it just means that we'll lose X amount of staff in terms of coaches, recruitment, sports science, all that sort of stuff. And then instead of having an investment of £10 million a year into the academy, it will go down to around £4 million a year.
And obviously that status drop is obviously going to be affected by players that you're bringing in. They're not going to want to go to a Cat 2 academy. They're going to want to go to a Cat 1 academy, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. And, you know, so obviously you've got the local players. If you've got the opportunity at 9, 10, 11 years old to join a Cat 1 academy or a Cat 2 academy, you're going to join the Cat 1 academy, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then obviously as the players get older, with less money invested into the academy. So now we can pick up from like the ages 14, 15, 16, 18, whatever, the best talents from around the country. Not just the country, but also Europe and the world in some instances. So there's been times where they've brought players in from like Brazil, Portugal, China, etc.
Yeah.
But with less money to invest, obviously then you haven't got the potential to bring in the quality of player because your net is just smaller, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's a concern personally. You know, I think it's a great honour to have a Cat 1 academy. And you do see the difference between Cat 1s and Cat 2s. I mean, it's not saying that just because you're a Cat 1 academy, you're automatically going to be better than a Cat 2 academy, because there's some Cat 2 academies, and they will get good results consistently against Cat 1 academies. But ultimately, you know, if the money's there to invest, and you're looking at a difference of around £6 million a year, that's a big chunk of change, ain't it, for recruiting and developing the future stars of the game.
Yeah. I just want to reiterate that isn't fact or knowledge that's out there. That's just information that we've heard from within the game that this could happen, and as a cost cutting exercise within Wolves. So for those who are listening and trying to understand it, this is just information that potentially could happen into next season. I know we started off, we had a good conversation, nice and happy, and then we kind of brought it down with the folks and talk at the end. But I want to come around. I think I know the answer to every single one of yours to this, I think. But man of the match for the Leicester game. I'll come to you first, Luke.
Do you know what? It's got to be Guedes, to be fair. I thought his running was fantastic. His work rate. Chipped him with a goal and an assist. So, yeah, well deserved.
Gav?
Yeah, exactly the same. You know, he worked his socks off, didn't he, as well? It's not like he's got the goal and the assist and he's done nothing for the rest of the game. He played his part big time. And he was always a threat, you know, especially I think him and Semedo, to be fair, down that right side. I know we didn't touch on it, but that looked like a really good partnership that's going to get built in there, because Semedo was actually playing the ball down that. Guedes is making the run. That's fair enough. You have to make the run. But Semedo was finding him every time, wasn't he? And that was proven for the third goal, wasn't it? Tomatoes played the ball down the line. Guedes has held it up. Played in Cunha. Cunha scores. So for me, Guedes all day. Yeah.
I mean, the only kind of blot on Semedo's game in the whole thing was where he kind of shit out that challenge with Danny Ward. But he's always gone anyway. He's had a kind of history of doing that.
Hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. You never had confidence that he was actually going to go through him. But I think, ironically, he would have actually won that race. Not just because it's Danny Ward, but because of how the ball was, the pace on the ball. I think he would have reached it for me. But no, I'm not going. I'm not going to get us because I hate him. I'm going for Andre because I thought he was exceptional.
That's fine.
But the point that you could probably pick about 5 or 6 of them that were 8 and above out of 10, and it was still a stroll. He's an amazing thing to say after the season we've had so far.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic to see, and to have, like you say, Stu, 5, 6 players performing at like 7, 8 out of 10 in a game that is so crucial to our season is setting us up nicely for this run of fixtures. Let's not get too carried away. It was Leicester. It was a Leicester side who haven't been performing. Danny Ward was in goal. There are things to remember about that game, but there is a confidence. It is a clean sheet with no goals conceded from a set piece.
Yep.
It's something to work from, and that's all we've asked for as Wolves fans from this season, is to have a base to work from. And I think there's a confidence that Vitor-bus can give us that strength, rigidity, and determination in games to work and to work from a solid base. And on that note, thank you to everyone who's listened live, everyone who's listening on your normal Spotify or wherever you get your podcast from. I hope you have a fantastic time, have a fantastic day, fantastic week, fantastic Christmas, because it's coming up in just a couple of days. Hanukkah, if you celebrate that, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate during this time. Enjoy it with your family. Get together, have a nice meal, have something to drink, and hopefully Wolves give us something to cheer about on Boxing Day on the 26th of December. And this was your Wolves Fancast review show in association with the Sports Social Podcast and FC Quiz.app. We will catch you next time, Wolves fans. Peace.